Hello, so today in this video I want to talk about what is narcissism and cover 4 vital things you need to know. Now, if you're already in a narcissistic relationship or you have been in one, then you'll very probably be familiar with all of the hallmarks of the narcissist. But if you're very new to the term and have only just discovered it, then you need to learn as much as you can about Narcissistic Personality Disorder, or NPD for short. Why? Well, the reason why is that's actually the first of my 4 vital things that you need to know. Knowledge is power. But first, I want to just do a very brief history. Now, the term narcissism originated more than 2,000 years ago when Ovid wrote the legend of Narcissus. He wrote the story of a beautiful Greek hunter who happened to see his reflection in a pool of water, and he fell in love with it. He became obsessed with its beauty, with his own beauty, and he was unable to leave his reflection or his reflected image until he died. Now, after his death, the flower Narcissus grew where he lay. Thus, Narcissus became a symbol of obsessive love, and the term narcissism, the perfect fit for the self-obsession that narcissists have, was first introduced by the father of psychoanalysis, Sigmund Freud himself, in 1914. So let me just cover the tips. So let's go back. Tip number 1, as I've said, is knowledge is power, and you are not to blame. A lot of women I know, when they start to realise what's going on, they very often look back and blame themselves. And I want you to know that you shouldn't do that. You are not to blame. Once you know what you're dealing with, however, you really then can very quickly realise why you're not to blame and why it's not your fault. So what's happened to you isn't your fault. Now, you can learn what you need to know to get out and stay out of narcissistic relationships. And that isn't always going to be easy. I'm not going to sugarcoat the pill here, but it can be done. I know lots of women who've done it. You can get out and stay out of narcissistic relationships. And it's important that you start believing that now if you are still stuck in one, okay? Now, tip number 2, and this is part of the learning, the early stage of learning, if that's where you're at. Tip number 2 is to realise that NPD is a mental disorder. And it's really important that you understand that if you've been involved with a narcissist, narc for short. It's really important to understand that NPD is one of 10 personality disorders, listed in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. And it fits in with what's known as the Cluster B disorders. Okay? So this means that you're actually dealing with a person who has a mental illness, albeit generally narcissists are very high functioning. They're smart, they're intelligent, they're very capable. But just to clarify, the official definition by the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, goodness me, that's a mouthful, isn't it? I can never say it fast, is this. So they say NPD is defined as comprising a pervasive pattern of grandiosity in fantasy or behaviour, and it's a constant need for admiration, lack of empathy, beginning by early adulthood and present in a variety of contexts as indicated by the presence of at least 5 of the following 9 criteria. So 1 is a grandiose sense of self-importance. 2 is preoccupation with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. 3 is the belief that he or she is special and unique and can only be understood or should associate with other special or high status people or institutions. And the next one, 4, is a need for excessive admiration. And this is huge in all of them. The next one is interpersonally exploitive behaviour. Next one is lack of empathy. Then there's envy of others, or a belief that others are envious of him or her. And the final one is a demonstration of arrogant and haughty behaviours or attitudes. That particular one tends to be very, very evident with overt narcissists. And I'll talk in later videos about the difference between overt narcissists and covert. There is quite a difference, but they do all have a lot of these inner beliefs about grandiosity and superiority, lack of empathy, and so on. And as it said earlier on, it only requires 5 of those criteria to be present. Yet I know that some of the people I've dealt with, only 4 of those have been present. So you could still be dealing with a narcissist. So bear that in mind. They don't have to tick all the 9 boxes. And all of the traits are nasty because narcissists have no conscience. They have no empathy, no feelings for anyone but themselves. And their main goal is to destroy their target because that's their lifeblood. Getting their narcissistic supply, or fuel as it's also called, is all that matters to them. Now, of course, NPD is a huge spectrum, and there are different types of NPDs, as I've just alluded to. There are overts, coverts, they're malignant coverts, cerebrals, somatics, but all of them have these traits in varying degrees. And at the centre of all of them, only one thing matters to them, and that's themselves and their narcissistic supply. Now, studies suggest that they are addicted to dopamine. It's like heroin to an addict, and they also make you addicted to them in a somewhat different but very, very dangerous way, and I will talk about that and trauma bonding in a separate video. Okay, so let me give you some examples of behaviour, narcissistic behaviour. So a narcissist will initially beguile you with their charm. And this is especially true if they're covert narcissists. They're very, very good at charming the birds out of the trees. Street angels, house devils is one way of describing them. Or Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, we all know that one. Everyone on the outside thinks that the sun rises and sets with them, and they can fool a lot of people. But you get to see the real person. You get to basically see the devil that's inside them. Now, in the beginning, of course, they charm you into falling in love with them by engaging in what is known as love bombing. And during this time, excuse me, they learn as much about you as they possibly can, and they show you heaps of compassion and understanding to you. You think you've found your soulmate. You're on the same wavelength. You've never met anyone who got you the way this person does. And it's really heady stuff. But they always, always have a hidden agenda. And that's to log all this information away in their minds, this information that you've given them, that you've confided with them in the early days of the relationship. You've shared your deepest, darkest secrets, and they're logging it all away because they're going to use it as ammunition against you when they get to the devaluing stage, which they always do. Now that's when they turn on you and you're at a complete loss to understand how or why they're suddenly behaving like this. You're left reeling, thinking, what have I done wrong? What have I done to deserve this? Why have they changed so radically? Where's the stunning, gorgeous person I fell in love with and who supposedly was madly in love with me? Am I going crazy here? Is it me? Now, the entire cycle of narcissistic abuse is extremely complex, and it can lead you to the brink of emotional and often physical exhaustion. It can even lead to suicide in extreme cases, which is a horrible thing to contemplate, but it's happened. So how do you recover? Will your life ever be the same again? How do you get over the brutal betrayal that's left you reeling from shock? Good questions. Now, that brings me to tip number 3, and that is the journey to healing doesn't need to take years. Now, granted, the journey to healing goes through several stages, and there are too many different opinions on just exactly how many stages there are. Now, I've read countless books and blogs and FB group posts and so on, and they all say different things. And I'm not disagreeing with any of them or saying any of them are wrong. My point is there's no cookie cutter really, there's no cut and dried approach. So for example, according to Narcissist Abuse Support, there are 3 key stages, and they define those as victim, survivor and thriver. And I quite like the thriver part. Now, other experts compare it to Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's famous 5 stages of grief, which were denial, anger, bargaining, depression and acceptance. And I think they're very applicable too. But however many stages they are, you will go through a number of them before you can come out the other side, all shiny and new and healed. And because there are so many stages, and it also depends on where in the relationship you are, because the stages are different then depending on whether you're brand new to it and you're just finding out, or you're just discovering that this person in your life is being abusive. That's one stage. Then you understand he or she is being abusive. You then reach another stage, the kind of, what the heck am I going to do? You're going to be like a deer caught in the headlights wondering, what are you going to do? How are you going to get out of this? So there's stuff that goes on in that stage, and then there's the stage when you do break free or go no contact. So it's way too broad to just lump it all in one short video. So I will be coming back to all these various aspects in different videos. But for now, it's important for you to know this. As I've said before, I'm going to reiterate, it does not have to take years to recover, as we're often led to believe. I've worked with clients who've had incredible transformations in a ridiculously short time. Even clients who've had narcissistic parents, as is quite typical, and who were drawn into narcissistic relationships as adults. So they've suffered a long cycle of abuse from childhood right through up into adult relationships. But it doesn't matter if you've spent a lifetime trapped in toxic relationships. You can fly free of the narcissistic cage. You might have noticed my logo has my bird flying out of the cage, because to me that's great symbolism. Because if you're in a narcissistic relationship, you are trapped in a cage, and you need for that cage door to open so that you can fly free. Okay, now that brings me to tip number 4, and that is something you need to start believing in. You will find love and joy and happiness and infinite self-worth again. I really want you to start believing that. Now, being in a relationship with a narcissist is toxic. It destroys your self-worth, your self-image, and your life. But you can recover. You can regain everything you thought you'd lost and more. Because the truth is, who you are inside is what's important. You are not What happened to you? I want you to really think about that as well if you're watching this video now, okay? You're a unique individual with tremendous value and worth, and you just need to bring yourself back to the truth of that. You deserve love and respect and happiness and joy. You don't deserve the suffering. So, again, if you're watching this now, I want you to really hear these words and let them sink in. Start right now by telling yourself that you will get over this, that you're not going to be beaten by a person with a mental disorder. Affirm to yourself right now. Say it out loud if you're on your own, maybe not if you're in company. Say it out loud in your head if you're in company, but say it out loud and speak it if you're alone. Say, I'm the sane one here. I'm not buying into his or her BS anymore, okay? Just thinking like this will shift you out of the victim mode. So just try that. And you may need to say it, try it several times a day, and that's fine. Say it as many times as you need to, because getting out of a narcissistic relationship typically isn't a quick fix. It takes time, it takes planning, it takes confidence, it takes setting up an exit strategy. There's a lot to it, but it starts with thinking that you're not prepared to live like this anymore, that you're going to get out of it, okay? So just keep saying this, because you're going to be laying down a new, very, very important message to your subconscious that's going to filter down, okay? So my work is basically all about empowering women to take back this power. And doing that starts with how you're talking to yourself and what you believe about yourself. Now, you can change your thoughts in an instant. As I've just said, try that exercise and see. And before long, you keep doing this, you start to change your beliefs in what's possible for you and what's acceptable for you, okay? So remember these 4 important tips if you're just learning about NPD for the first time. So I'll just recap on those. So number 1 is it's not your fault and you're in no way to blame. Number 2 is NPD is a mental illness. The narc is the sick one. You're not. Although you can end up deranged, truthfully, if you don't get out. But basically, the narc is the sick one. They have a mental illness, okay? They have a mental disorder, okay? Number 3 is you can heal and it doesn't have to take years, okay? And 4 is you will find love and joy and happiness and infinite self-worth again. If that's what you really want, it's within you to find it, okay? So take a few moments to write those down and refer to them often, several times a day if need be, because the healing starts with planting these little seeds, okay? So that's it for this short video. And I'll be sharing a lot more advice and strategies in my future videos. I'll be posting 2 videos a week. So you can start using these tips right away to help you regain your sanity regardless of where you are in your journey of recovery. And I really, really want you to get out of that relationship and start that journey, okay? So thank you very much indeed for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you found that interesting and helpful. And if so, please hit like and subscribe for more videos. I'll be posting new videos every week. Now, if you'd like to hear more tips and connect personally with me, check out the links below this video. You can join my mailing list. And if you prefer to have the transcripts, I'll be happy to send those to you. And I've also got some wonderful healing hypnosis MP3s that I'd like to send you. And you can also join my closed Facebook group, Infinite Self-Worth After Narcissistic Abuse. Now, this is a women's only group with exclusive content every week. So do check out those links below, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now, and thanks again for watching. I appreciate your time. Thank you.